What is going on, heroes of Middle Earth? Welcome back to the channel. Hopefully you guys are having a great time farming your characters and farming Arwen with the recent unlock event for her marquee. But today I want to release a video that I tried to get out before I went on vacation. And it covers my recommendations for Lord of the Rings Heroes of Middle Earth free-to-play farming guide. So you can kind of see a little silhouettes there. If you're familiar with this game, you probably know who they are, but we will jump into it right now. Remember, if you find any of this useful in any way, please drop a sub, leave a like, leave a comment if you agree or disagree with any of these things. If you didn't like it, let me know that as well. But also, be sure to ring the bell and sub, because this is going to be an evolving thing. We're going to add to it. We're going to change things. I've already done that. You're gonna see some of my thoughts prior to my vacation. I thought about removing them, but I left them in. And how I think now and how I feel now. So, again, this is for the initial part for newer players. For more advanced players or people who have been here longer, I've got some thoughts at the end, and I'm very curious as to how you feel about them. So please let me know. But anyway, you should always farm Halbarad or Bolg. I had or Bolg out there before vacation. I would remove that from now. I would say only farm Halbarad, and I will get to that in the futures discussion. Get teams ready for campaigns and challenges. This should be very self-explanatory. You're going to want to make sure that you have teams available to do those. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to progress. Get a team for Arena. It's the only real game mode in the game right now. Only real game mode. Oof. Have a team for that. We're going to have one of those. It's going to be a light side based team, but we've changed some things around in that. And then we're going to talk about the game looking ahead. These numbers, I believe they're correct, but Guild Campaign is available at level 10 because that's the point where you can join a guild. Shadow Campaign is available at level 14, and Arena is available at level 20. Now, all of these should be attainable in your first day to 2 days of play. Remember that Arena, I don't know what shard they're up to now. I think they're on shard 2. So you may want to wait, if you're brand new, wait for shard 3 to open so you have a higher placement before you unlock that. But I don't know if that'll really work. I mean, there's like 30,000 people in a server, or in a shard. But could be handy. Stop leveling and gearing characters once they hit level 30. They are 3 stars and they are gear 5. This applies to basically everybody, but you should only be gearing up the characters that you are going to be using. Don't gear up, the Haradrim or the Dunlanding or, Misty Mountains or the Hobbits if you're not going to use them. And I would urge you not to use really any of those. But say you're farming up your team and you choose Pippin as your part of your light side team for Arena because he does heal. Once he gets to level 30, he's a 3-star and he's gear 5. Move on to a different character in that team, or if you need something in the Shadow team. But you don't want to have one character be so high and then all the others be really low. I speak from experience. I come up across a lot of folks who put a bunch of time and effort and energy into their Ironhide. He's a very strong character. He is by far the best plug-and-play character we have in the game. However, for the last week or so, I've been able to take on teams with Ironhides in the 4,000 to 4,500 range. I believe they're that range. I think they are. But they're much higher than all of my characters. I think my highest is Eowyn at 3,800. And it's not a problem. He's slow. Yes, he does a couple AoEs, but you can disable him. There are ways around that. That's for an Arena video, which we will do. But the point I'm trying to make is gear your Arena team at the same rate. You can keep your level up there because if we're focusing on certain characters, you shouldn't be having too big of an XP crunch. But prioritize your Arena team for that because it's the only thing to do right now. This is a lot of stuff. This is all of the characters in the game, where you find them. I'm not going to sit here and talk about them, but this is for your use. I know there's a bunch of charts floating around out there. I just wanted to throw one together. Quite literally, I just vomited it onto the screen. Here it is. We may clean that up later on. But I was in a hurry before vacation, like I said. All of this so far was in here before vacation. So early game light. Use Frodo only because they give him to you. Don't put any gear or effort into him. Don't get him to 30. Just don't. You're going to unlock Éomer before then. He's a much better character to use. Switch him out and gear him up. He will be your friend through the rest of this journey. Always buy Halbarad. Halbarad is the healer who's right next to my head over here. He's fantastic. You get him in the challenge store for supplies. He's going to take a while, but he is fantastic. He's a true tank. He's a true healer. Once you get him up to his heal ability, I think tier 5, he does over 3,000 heals to multiple folks on your team. So always be buying him. You'll eventually swap Pippin out for him. And this is how I had my arena team set up. That bottom row is how I had my arena team for the longest time, and they did pretty well. They got me up to Myth 2, and they held me there pretty easily. However, I had to make a switch because of the psychology of the game, and we'll get to that once we get to the new stuff right after this slide. So this team hasn't changed at all. You're gonna keep your Isengard Core 3. You're going to have Wubute in there, and you're going to start farming Ironhide once you have Ugluk up to 3 stars. The reason being is Ironhide is such a large farm. It's a long farm. You're not going to need these guys immediately. You don't need Ironhide immediately, but you'll be able to get him up pretty quickly. Remember, when you're farming your guild characters, only do 3 to 4 fights at a time. I don't know if it actually works, but it seems to pay out at a higher percentage than if you just spam all of your energy at once. Eventually you will swap out Wubute, even though he does have a really good AoE and slow and a little bit of tank, some damage, for Azok, because Azok is kind of a beast. But you can see here, 1, 1, 1, those are the chapters. The first number in these are chapters, and then the node in that chapter is the second number. Obviously Wubute you buy with guild currency, but you farm all of these super easily. That's the point of this. I don't want to recommend that a free-to-play brand new player goes after, Mordor or Misty Mountain or hobbits or dwarves or something that all require, chapter 4 and up or chapter 3 and up characters. These you'll be able to get up and running really quickly, and they will get you through all of your challenges that you need. They will get you through all of the campaign nodes. I have unlocked every single one of the crystal farms for the light side with this team, and it works really well. In order to get light side crystals, you need dark side teams, and to get dark side crystals, you need light side teams. That will be very important here in just a little bit, but that team is what you should be shooting for. And I kept Wubute in there over other characters because we will need him eventually for the Witch King, which is part of the future-proof section of this. This just shows all of the different tiers that you need. So 3, 5, 4, 2, 2, 3, 2. The point is to roll the teams as quickly as you can, and by having them all on the individual first chapter nodes is very important. And you can see that I did the exact same thing with the light side. Now, this is my new kind of guide. Starting from the top to the bottom, you've got it in basically 4 stages. So your light side, you're going to get Strider passively. Éowyn's going to be your lead. Pippin or Arwen, if you're watching this right now, between now and the next 4 or 5 days, get Arwen as quickly as you can. She's a free unlock. She's easy. You can do it in about 10 minutes. You'll get her at 3 stars. She's great. If you don't want to put money into it, you can spend gems on it. I would urge you probably don't do that as a free-to-play player. She's very mid. She's not great at plug and play. She does a little bit of damage. She's a little slower than I'd like her to be. She does a little bit of healing through her ability to give everybody plus 5% on their next turn. And she builds up stacks of defensive, similar to Éowyn. So they can be very tricky to handle later in the game. But you're going to want to ditch Frodo pretty quickly. like I said, for AMR, and you're going to want to eventually choose the highlighted team, highlighted folks on the light side. You have a choice. You can farm any one of them if you want. You can use any one of them. I would urge you to switch, once you have unlocked Halberad, to switch either of those out for him. He's a true tank. He's a true healer. He does a very good job. That's the team that I use across the bottom with Halberad. And it works pretty good. I'm consistently in Myth 2, occasionally in punching up into Myth 1. I used to be in Champions, but I've been outspent hard on that. Dark side, we've already talked about that. However, big change, once you get Ironhide up and running, you sub him in for Aethane. Aethane is fine, he's good. I personally like him more as a character than Ironhide, but Ironhide seems to scare people away. He's big, he's chunky, he attacks everybody, but he's slow. But as a defensive unit, he seems to do pretty well. I think he does scare people away. I don't fall back in arena as often, but I also don't have a problem defeating Ironhide either. So I think it's less of an actual ability, or maybe the AI doesn't control the Rohirrim as good as they control Ironhide. I don't know, but he seems to be working pretty well for me, whether it's an actual objective thing or subjective, I don't know. But that is my team going across the bottom with Eowyn as your lead, Ironhide, Strider, Eomer, and then Halberad is my preferred healer for that team. Once you hit that last screen, stop gearing shadow characters as soon as possible. Make sure that you can do your challenges. Make sure that you can unlock your crystals for your light side, but stop gearing them immediately. The reason being is, boom, the Nazgul. We know they're coming. The Witch King was supposedly going to be our first legendary. It's a data mine. Sometimes they're not right. It's just what happened. So these are just the crystals. Now, this doesn't take into consideration any other gear, but remember, you need 228 blues and you need 80 purples. I believe that math is correct. I pulled it from the LOTR.GG website, which is fantastic. I highly recommend going over there. They got a lot of really cool tools. Definitely check that out. But these numbers apply to each character as well, dark and light side. So for each one, you're going to need that many crystals. So over a course of an entire team, you're going to need 400 purples, 1140 blues, and that's to get to gear 9. I believe that's how they have it structured on LOTR.GG. That's to go from gear 8 to gear 9 all the way. In the beta, the Nazgul were amazing characters. I can't recommend farming a higher gear team, and I believe the Misty Mountains and Mordor team are better than Isengard. However, for a free-to-play player, I can't recommend farming them because of their nodes being where they're at. They are costly nodes. They are way up in the campaign path. You're going to take a while to get there. You're going to have to build this team to get there anyway, so you may as well just keep going with it, especially considering you're not going to be using them for arena. You're going to be using your other team. So by doing it this way, you can start hoarding shadow crystals. Now, you will need to start spending them when you need to gear up a character or so, but I would urge you to go for character level and abilities before going for gear level, especially if they're already gear 5, gear 6, somewhere in that ballpark. I would just do it that way. And then focus your shard farming for your arena team. Or elves if you want to go that route, but I don't recommend doing that right now because, to be honest, unfortunately, you're kind of late to the game. So by doing it this way, you're going to have a strong arena team. You're going to have a strong enough shadow team to get you your crystal farm, to prepare you to have a really strong shadow team once the Nazgul are released. We don't know when that is, but that's the thing about these games. You have to plan months to years in advance, and doing it this way, I think, will be a strong path to take, and it will set you up for success. So that's going to do it for me. Remember, this is going to be an ever-changing video. It will be shorter Going forward, I will cut it down to basically just this. So look to have it be between 5 and 10 minutes going forward. But remember, if you want to stay notified when those go live or any other videos or live that we do here on the channel, be sure you hit subscribe, ring the bell, leave a comment if you liked it, if you have any suggestions, any changes that you would make, any questions. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one. Bye.